Good morning. Thank you very much for being here today for this very important announcement from the Diocese of Erie. As most of you know, today we're announcing one of the most significant revisions we've ever made to our policy for the protection of children and youth. And today we plan to share several details of aspects of this multifaceted initiative. Bishop Lawrence Persico will provide remarks, and then as usual, we'll make one-on-one interviews available for each of you. In addition to Bishop Persico, Monsignor Ed Losi, our Vicar General and Director of the Office for Protection of Children and Youth, will also be available. Monsignor Losi is here with us. I also want to introduce you to Cindy Zemchek, who's sitting next to Father, Monsignor Losi. She's been serving as coordinator of the Office for the Protection of Children and Youth since June of last year. We're pleased to have her leadership within the office. But I'd like to begin with a few comments to provide some context for our announcement. You had some notice about today's event because when the Diocese of Buffalo released the names of clergy who had been credibly accused of sexual abuse, a reporter called to ask us if we planned to do the same. And our answer was yes. We have been gathering information and preparing to do so for some time. As you will see by the scope and the depth of what we share today, this has been an important and long and complex process taken on by the Diocese of Erie. The effort took time because we are committed to doing it correctly and because we are covering a period of decades. 6 years ago, we took a new step, going public for the first time with the name of a priest who was credibly accused of inappropriate behavior with a minor. Earlier this year, we announced 2 more cases involving clergy, both of which are still under investigation. We are now collaborating with independent, professional investigators and lawyers who are trained and equipped to handle these cases. We have protocol in place to reach out pastorally to victims and to parish and school or other communities immediately affected by these situations. And in addition, we now offer this information to the public through the media. Bishop Persico has made it a priority to get a handle on exactly what information the diocese had on file about criminal and inappropriate activity on the part of anyone involved with minors within the church in the Diocese of Erie going back more than 70 years. As has been reported early in his tenure, Bishop Persico invited District Attorney Jack Denary to go through all our files, and that process was begun. Mr. Denary's investigators had to suspend their efforts in September of 2016 when the Pennsylvania Attorney General included our diocese among the 6 that are now part of the grand jury investigation into sex abuse within the church. We, of course, have cooperated with the investigation, and Bishop Persico will provide more details about what that has meant. As I said, this has been a very long and complex undertaking. We are announcing vitally important initiatives today that we believe will help keep children safe and hopefully encourage healing for victims. It is work that needed to be done. We're not here to pat ourselves on the back. We carry the burden of responsibility for the victims who were abused by the very people who were supposed to serve and inspire them. So what we present to you today is done with contrite hearts. And now I invite Bishop Persico to come forward with his statement.
Thank you. Good morning. Today, the Diocese of Erie is announcing a major update in our policy for the protection of children and youth. The policy we've been using has served us well. It has always been a living document, adapted and adjusted to the times. But today, we are announcing one of the most significant revisions we've made to the policy since it was established 32 years ago. Before I share details of those changes with you, I want to express my sincere sorrow and apologies for the sexual abuse that has occurred within the church, particularly here in the Diocese of Erie. I have met with victims and listened to the pain they and their loved ones experienced. It is appalling to learn what they went through. Abuse is traumatic enough, but it's earth-shattering when it's perpetrated by someone who is in a position of trust. I have a profound personal respect for survivors of abuse. Like anyone else, I cannot comprehend how someone can victimize innocent children and youth. The vast majority of our priests are striving to live good and holy lives in service to God, to parishioners, and to the community at large. The same goes for our many dedicated teachers and agency employees. I am proud to be counted among the priests of this diocese. The Diocese of Erie is one of 6 Pennsylvania dioceses that was subpoenaed by the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office in September 2016. With the help of outside lawyers and investigators, we have reviewed all the files we could find that had anything to do with inappropriate behavior by people, both clergy and lay, working for the diocese itself, as well as any Catholic school or agency in the diocese between 1947 and 2018. In fact, one case reached back to 1944. We have shared everything we discovered through this investigation with the Attorney General and continue to work with his office in this important undertaking. The investigation provided us an opportunity to intensify the efforts we begun making to gain a fuller understanding of our past. We sought the best advice and counsel we could get in updating our approach to protect children and vulnerable adults. And so today, the Diocese of Erie is unveiling a significantly revised policy for the protection of children and youth. We believe the policy is among the most comprehensive in the nation. Members of the diocesan staff have been working for more than a year with the Pittsburgh-based law firm of K&L Gates to develop this policy. Members of my staff and administration, the Presbyteral Council, the Diocesan Review Board, all have collaborated in the process and given their full support to the approach we are announcing today. The new policy includes 3 major components. First, it has expanded set of definitions that leave no doubt as to what constitutes abuse. It also includes definitions for terms such as threshold evidence. In addition, it explains what needs to be present for a child abuse case to be considered substantiated. The second significant change in our policy is the greatly expanded role of the Office for the Protection of Children and Youth. It will now become the central depository of all allegations from any school, agency, parish, or other source connected to the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Erie. As you may know, anyone working or volunteering with minors or youth in any Catholic institution in the Diocese of Erie currently must secure clearances from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Going forward, in addition to those clearances, they will need a clearance from our Office for the Protection of Children and Youth. The third aspect of our new policy is an updated and revised website, going live today at erieRCD.org/policyupdate.htm. The site contains the new policy in its entirety. Per our new policy, the site includes the names of people who have been credibly accused of actions ranging from furnishing pornography to minors to direct sexual assault of minors. These actions, in the diocese judgment, disqualify them from working with children and youth. The list, which made headlines before we even released it, is different than what other dioceses have released. in that it includes 34 priests, 20 of whom are deceased, as well as 17 lay men and women, 2 of whom are deceased. I know people stand firmly on both sides of whether or not releasing the names of these individuals is the right decision. Some will say that it has taken far too long to publish these names. Others think we shouldn't do it at all. They say we are not showing mercy. As Catholics, we believe the Lord has infinite mercy and absolution for those who are contrite and sincerely seeking forgiveness, but that does not mean they are free from the ramifications of their behavior. We made efforts to notify all the living people on this list through our attorneys. In publishing the list of those who have credible allegations against them, the first goal is the protection of children. It is not possible for us to monitor all the people on the list. This is an important step in helping the public become aware of information that is important for the community's well-being. Some people are concerned that publicizing these names will open old wounds. Very importantly, we are actually publishing the names in the hope of helping the victims' survivors move one step closer to healing those same wounds. It is important that they know they are not alone. We encourage victims of sexual abuse by people affiliated with the Catholic Church to come forward for their own benefit and to help us to have even more comprehensive understanding of our past. We know that with their help, this list of names will grow because it is a living document. We understand that victims' memories may be incomplete. We want to tell victims not to be concerned if they do not have exact dates or locations of their abuse. We are willing to listen to them and accompany them as we all search for the truth. We do not know when the grand jury report will be forthcoming, but I am sure it will be a sobering moment for all of us. Finally, I encourage the wide distribution of the information you'll find at the end of my written statement, in the hope that all victims who feel locked in darkness will consider coming forward to begin the healing process. Thank you.
So I have hard copies of my statement, of Bishop Persico's statement, of our policy, and of the website that will go live this afternoon. So I'll share those with you now, and I thought maybe you would want to take a few minutes to look at those. If any of you are prepared already to speak with Bishop or Monsignor Losi, we can make them available immediately, or if you want a few minutes to look through, certainly we're here this morning. And I understand also as you go through material this afternoon, you may want a little bit more time and need to call back. Both Bishop and Monsignor will be available by phone as well.